You're enjoying the virtual conference. I'm sorry that I can't be with you physically and present this myself because I will be walking somewhere in some lovely countryside and hillsides. But this is recorded to try and give you an idea of how to get published. In the next few minutes, we will be talking about academic publishing from a perspective of an early career student or researcher. First question is, why should you care about academic publishing? We will then talk about what are the opportunities for research and how should you approach that? How should you engage or initiate a research project from your own interest areas? We will then talk about why should you write your research or your ideas into an academic paper. What is the importance of doing that? We will then talk about how to go about writing an academic paper. What are the skills and the networks that you need? And then finally, we'll finish off by talking about what editors are generally looking for. So let's start with why are we here today? Why do we want to get published? And why should we care? First thing to do is you need a question. You need to ask yourself, why are you doing what you are doing? Why is it important to you that you need to answer a question? And the answer to this question will come from your daily engagement with your clinical work. So the patients that you're coming across, the treatment that you're offering, the treatment that works and the treatment that doesn't work. What are the things that tend to frustrate you, that tend to make you think, I wish I could do this better? So, presuming that the answer to this particular question of why you're doing this is that I want to improve, I want to contribute to science, I want to make it better for my patients, I want to make a difference, then you should listen on to the next part of this presentation. Firstly, most of us who are here care about our patients. We're here because we want to make a difference. And you can make a lot of difference at an individual level to a few patients that you actually see by giving them the optimal and best care possible. You can work hard to make yourself the best doctor or the best scientist that you can be in order to help your individual patients. But remember that by this, you're only helping a handful of patients, and there is so much more that you can give. And this is why you need to think about academic publishing or academic research, where the answer to your question will not only help your individual patients, but actually be beneficial to the wider patient group. And that is why it's important to move forward. So, where will you find the answer to this particular thing? What should you be researching on? And how will you know what is important? And for this, the answer is probably all around you. It is in everything that you do, in every patient that you come in contact with. All you need is to have an open mind, is to be inquisitive, and to ask, what is the evidence for what you're doing? What is the evidence that it actually works? And when you come across treatments or options that fail, or patients that don't comply, or phenomenon or clinical observations that don't make sense, you need to think about efficiency and effectiveness of any intervention. It could be a medication, it could be a process, it could be a procedure, it could be a test. I would recommend that you read Archie Cochrane's paper on efficiency and effectiveness, and I've given you a link here to a summary that will help you to understand why it's important to measure, observe everything that we do. So how do you engage in research? At your, you will all be in very busy work. You will may not have time dedicated for this at the beginning of your careers. So there are very few simple steps. I've put it down into seven. You could even cut it down to five. First, find your question. What matters? Second, identify a gap in the knowledge. And how do you do that? Easy way is to ask your peers or more experienced people. Talk to them about your ideas and say, what do you think about this? And they might say, oh, this has been researched before. Or they might say, actually, I don't know. And once you've done that, the best thing is to go and look for the evidence base. How do you do that? Go to PubMed, go to any evidence based research resource. Ask your question, look at the answers, see if you've got 5,000 papers talking about it. Then probably it has been well researched. If you find less papers or less clear answers, then it's the one for you. So after you've done your undertake a rapid review, then ask yourself, will it make a difference? How would you know this? Ask your peers, ask your patients whether the answer to this particular question will make a difference. And then you have a sounding and a context, and then you can pitch your ideas to other academics, to researchers, and see if you can sell it. One good way of doing it is to write a blog and have it out for public comment. So then comes to the question of writing a paper. Writing a paper is not easy. You will need to read a lot. You need to go through a lot of evidence. You need to learn how scientific papers are written, and therefore learn the styles, learn the techniques, try your hand at it, get some feedback. The first thing is make sure you have a topic that matters to you and to your patients. Make sure that you have a story that people want to hear. You have to have a narrative, and the narrative must start from why you did this and then present the evidence in a very good, logical way. And then you have to make the right choice of journals. And I give you a link to a site which will allow you to choose the right journals for what you are presenting in. Then finally, let's talk quickly about what do editors want. The editors want to know that the scientific context is important. The editors want to know that the political and societal landscape now, for instance, if you write anything about COVID, you have a much better chance of getting it published in this current 6 months. If you write about something else which is unrelated, you may find editors will not be interested. So then find out what the academic or social networks. Twitter is a fantastic resource to look at what are the scientists and what are the people talking about, what is important to them. If you pitch your idea in an area which is important, which is hot in the scientific world, you're more likely to get it accepted. And then remember that once you blog or tweet or answer people's tweets, people know that you're working in this, that you're interested in this area. That's how networks are built. And that's how, when you pitch something, people will say, I have come across this before. And that is probably one of the key steps in getting success. Finally, I would welcome you to consider publishing with us. We have two journals, The Physician, which is a journal of international health, which covers the whole spectrum of healthcare science. And you're welcome to consider publishing there. And we also have a Journal of Health Policy. So you have matters which are important for decision makers. Then consider Journal of Health Policy. And welcome to contact me or the team for any further advice. Thank you very much and all the best.